County Master Gardener Association has partnered with the Tarrant Regional Water District to encourage water conservation. TRWD maintains 4 area lakes and pipelines needed to provide surface water to local water treatment plants so they can clean that water to meet drinking standards for our communities. They also work with many cities in Tarrant County, such as Fort Worth, Arlington, Mansfield, and many others, to provide water conservation programs to the community. Conservation is an important water supply strategy to help meet the needs of our growing population. There are currently 2.3 million people living in Tarrant County, and this is expected to double over the next 50 years. At SaveTarrantWater.com, you can sign up for free weekly watering advice custom to your location. If you're a resident of Tarrant County, you can sign up for a free sprinkler's checkup where a licensed irrigator comes to your home, provides a comprehensive evaluation of your system with recommendations to reduce water waste. There's also an event calendar where you can find information about future classes and workshops. So be sure and check out SaveTarrantWater.com to sign up for their free services.
With over 20 different gardens full of color, textures, and shapes, we welcome you to the Tarrant County Master Gardener Association Demonstration Garden at the Resource Connection of Tarrant County. The 2-acre demonstration garden was established in 2006. The purpose of the demonstration garden is to be an educational reference point for master gardeners and the general public, a place to learn how and what types of plants can be grown in north central Texas.
The garden also demonstrates ways to save rainwater, to learn about varieties of plants that are successful in shade gardens, and how to attract birds and butterflies to the garden. We'll talk about this later. Having this type of space in the city of Fort Worth helps people to have a greater community perspective. Since it is open to the public throughout the week, it is a point of reference for families, school children, and different educational centers in the area. The garden is a place where the Resource Connection staff can enjoy their lunch break and other times as well. The demonstration garden is a place where you can see both native and adaptive plants. Throughout the year, it has different types of flowering plants and trees and even fruit, making it a place of leisure, but at the same time where you can learn from the hand of master gardeners about the flora of the region.
The maintenance of the demonstration garden area is carried out by Tarrant County Master Gardeners and new interns. Each of the garden areas has a leader and a co-leader who are responsible for coordinating the volunteering of our associates. Working days at the demo garden are Tuesdays from 8 a.m. to 12 noon and every third Saturday of the month from 8 a.m. to noon. These days are ideal to be able to speak in person with the Tarrant County Master Gardeners as they are working in the garden. The demonstration garden was created in phases in which the construction of the beds for vegetables and flowers, the greenhouses, the barn, a pavilion, the perennial, herb, and rose garden were added. An extensive system of drip irrigation can be found in each of the different gardens. This includes a variety of rainwater collection tanks and an irrigation system inside the 2 greenhouses.
The perennial garden is an excellent example for flower lovers of what to plant in full sun in north central Texas. This area was one of the first gardens in the Tarrant County Master Gardener Community Demonstration Garden, simply called the Demo Garden. It was established in 2007. The soil in the garden is rock and clay. Before planting began, horse manure was added. The garden features drip irrigation with mulch added throughout the year. Perennial gardens typically consist of groups of planting beds, which is more pleasing to the eye. The shortest growing plants are placed in the front and graduating to the tallest in the back. This gives a rhythm to the plant bed. Choose plants that are native or adapted to your area. These plants typically don't use much water. Other considerations in choosing plants are your soil type and amount of sun required. Depending on your taste or favorite season, there are a wide variety of plants to choose from. Visit the perennial garden often to see and ask about the flowers blooming there season to season.
The herb garden was built from the ground up in 2009. The foundation was a layer of newspaper which was placed on the ground to prevent grass and weeds from emerging, followed by a mixture of compost and soil. This garden has easy access for everyone. It was created to allow each visitor to experience different aromas from the herbs. The herbs at the garden receive plenty of sunshine. There is a fountain in the center of the garden surrounded by calendula, basil, and different types of thyme. Herbs are also good for the environment. They attract butterflies and other pollinators to our gardens and orchards. Fennel, for example, is a host plant for caterpillars, and when thyme, rosemary, or basil flourish, it is not surprising to see bees on these herbs. If you are a lover of these insects, one way to attract them is by planting herbs in your garden.
The enabling beds. These type of beds allow visitors of all ages and abilities to participate in and enjoy gardening. This area of the demo garden is a special place to work. Children of all ages, sizes, and physical conditions visit us. Adults who have special conditions or who are older also visit the enabling garden. This helps us show how gardening can be adapted depending on one's needs. The enabling beds have different designs, such as a stepped or terraced form. This works very well when there are children of different ages and for anyone in a wheelchair. This section of the demo garden also uses drip irrigation. It can be programmed where it will use less water. These beds also have a good drainage, which helps reduce fungi and diseases.
Community garden beds. The main goal of many community gardens is to provide access to families who lack a green place to grow their own food and enjoy nature. In the Tarrant County Master Gardener Association demonstration garden, you can find raised beds full of vegetables that follow that principle and also shows how a community garden works while helping area families grow their own vegetables. One of the peculiarities of the Tarrant County Master Gardener Association community garden beds is that they are made of different materials. This shows different options for those looking for ideas to build their own raised beds or terraces at home or in the gardens of their community. The vegetable beds in this area are rented to families, giving them access to a garden. The rent is $25 a year. Any vegetable beds in the community garden that are not rented are used by the Tarrant County Master Gardener Association to demonstrate varieties of vegetables that grow successfully in north central Texas. Socialization, landscaping, obtaining quality and fresh products, promote a healthy lifestyle by being in contact with nature, improving mental and physical health. A community garden becomes a school where people of all ages are taught how to grow their own products and exchange knowledge with those who have more experience in the field. In addition to the above benefits, community garden plants help with the supply of oxygen and helps reduce air pollution. They also absorb rainwater, strengthening the recycling and reuse of organic matter through composting.
The rose garden. Having a rose garden in north central Texas can be quite an adventure. Certain aspects must be considered in order to have a successful rose plant in our home. Come visit the Tarrant County Master Gardener Demonstration Garden and you will find different options of roses that grow successfully in our area. You can also learn how to combine roses with native or adapted plants. An additional tip: As for watering, try not to let the water touch the leaves of the roses, another reason to use the drip irrigation and mulch system at the base of your rose bushes. This helps protect the roots from the weather.
The container garden was an intern project for the 2013 class. Each group had a section of the garden to design, and much of what you see in the garden today is a result of that project. Not everything in the container garden is in a pot or container. There is a mix of raised beds, in-ground planting, and pots. By using the different growing methods, it adds dimension, texture, and interest to the garden. Some plants will do better in the ground and some will thrive in pots. So when you plan your garden, do your research and find out what is best for the plants you're wanting to grow. You can grow many things in containers, from perennial and annual flowers to vegetables and herbs. This is especially appealing to people who have limited amount of space. Container gardening is a great way to grow the garden they would enjoy. Because of frequent watering, plants in containers can lose nutrients fast, so it is important to add a slow-release fertilizer to your potting mix before planting. Once you have your container planted, you want to make sure you keep the plant watered to the specifications that it needs. A great way to make sure the plant gets the water it needs is to install a drip irrigation system.
Greenhouse. A Fort Worth ISD school donated the greenhouse in 2006, and it was actually built in 2008 when the association sponsored the first greenhouse management class. Initially, the intent for the greenhouse included a place to conduct classes. Seeds for the Master Gardener school projects were started, and gradually propagation took root in earnest. The greenhouse uses heat mats for starting seeds. There are also overhead heaters and fans for circulation. These are used when master gardeners are in the greenhouse working. There is irrigation, including drip and mist, to meet the needs of the seedlings. The ends of the greenhouses are also vented and can be closed during cold weather. In warmer weather, propagation work can be done outside the greenhouse on picnic benches. The hoop house construction began with the 2008 greenhouse management class. It was built in sections and completed with several classes. This house is used primarily to house perennial plants. It is covered with shade cloth, and a polyurethane cover is added during the colder months. There is irrigation in this house as well.
If you still don't know what fruit tree to plant, we invite you to visit the backyard orchard in the Tarrant County Master Gardener's Demonstration Garden. There are a wide variety of fruit trees that grow without problems in North Texas. In the backyard orchard, you can find plum trees, persimmons, figs, among others, as well as blackberries and raspberries. The grape arbor provides a beautiful and refreshing shady area. Other gardens that you can find: demonstration lawns, where you have native or adapted grasses on the Texas prairie. The bird sanctuary has a variety of plants that help feed birds and give them shelter. In the shade garden, you will find ideal plant varieties for places with partial or total shade.
The butterfly garden and the pond specialize in attracting butterflies and insects. One of the curiosities of this garden is the pollinator guzzler. It uses the water collected in a 55-gallon rainwater barrel. There is also a beautiful section of cacti that is perfect for the soils and type of climate we have in north central Texas, which is also a good way to use less water. Like the native plants that you will be able to observe throughout the entire garden, there's also a patch of wildflowers.
Finally, And as a way of reinforcing water conservation throughout the demonstration garden, there is an extensive system for collecting rainwater that is saved for use during the summer drought or when the rains are scarce. Near the pavilion are two 2,500-gallon water tanks, catching rainwater from the roof of the building directly behind the garden. 8 stacked 55-gallon rain barrels are located behind the pavilion, catching rainwater from its roof. The red barn has two 55-gallon rain barrels attached to the rain gutters to catch rain from the barn's roof, and two 60-gallon containers collect water from the building air conditioning system. In front of the building 1801, the Waterworks Learning Center, is a 250-gallon collection tank. Behind the Tough Shed potting shed is a 250-gallon tank, and another 2,500-gallon collection tank is located behind the Greenworks greenhouse, collecting water from the roof of the greenhouse.
We invite you to visit the TCMGA demonstration garden located at 1801 Circle Drive, Fort Worth, Texas. You can also call 817-884-1944 or write to us at the email tarrantmg@ag.tamu.edu. Remember to follow us on our social networks, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And thank you for joining us today on the Tarrant County Master Gardener Association Demo Garden Tour.